Hi, my name is John Whitehead and I'm an executive and leadership coach, and welcome to this week's edition of my video blog post. Over the last few weeks, I've been talking about a communications behavior model called Social Style by Traycom. And it's made up of 4 distinct behavior communication styles that can be set up in quadrants. Very similar to some of the other models that are out there. But as I've said in a few of my previous posts, one of the reasons I love this model is it's very simple, easy to use, and quite quickly people can grab it and be able to use it on a day-to-day basis. We've talked so far about 3 of the behavioral styles. We've talked about the expressive, we've talked about the amiable, we've talked about the analytical, and today we're going to talk about the driving style, which is the 4th one. So driving style, if you think about that fast, slow dimension, people are talking fast, are they talking slow, are they tell assertive, are they ask assertive? Drivers tend to be on the tell or fast side. And on the emote side, where they either control their emotions or show their emotions more, they tend to be more on the controlling emotion. And again, people will be doing all of those 4 things, but they have a propensity to do one thing more than the other. They have a tendency to be one or the other. So the driving style are ones that are more on the fast side, tell assertive, and controlling of their emotions. And often people see these individuals as very direct. They see them as independent, formal. They see them as very practical, but they can also be seen as dominating. People notice that they're very results oriented. It's all about getting to the results. They tend to move very fast. They want to get it done. And under stress, people who are drivers tend to get autocratic. So if you think about somebody for a minute, and if they are quick to make decisions, they don't show their emotions much, and it's, let's just go do it, let's just get this done. Those people are probably people who live in the driving style. And as you know, I've been attributing words to each one of these styles. And for the drivers, I'm attributing the eagle. And if you think of an eagle for a second, from our cultural point of view, they're seen as strong, right? Independence. It's the national emblem of the US because it stands for independence, for strength. So that's the eagle, eagle-eyed, right? Always on the goal, always on the target. So that's the thing about drivers. Now, if you notice in my descriptor, one of them was they tend to be domineering. And that is because the perception of drivers, although not always the case, and they don't tend to mean this, perception of drivers is they just want to take over. They just will run over everybody. They don't care about anybody else. They just want to get the job done. That's a lot of a perception that people have, and that's not necessarily the case. It's just that that's what's driving them. So if you're listening to me and you think, yeah, this is the neighborhood you live in, this is the place you live in, for you, what you need to do is to slow down and you need to listen. People who are drivers, they have to learn that they have to slow down because they just are moving very, very quickly. And to listen forces you to listen to what others are saying, but also to listen to yourself, because you've got that little voice in the back of your head that is trying to tell you something. But the only way you're going to hear it is if you slow down. So if I'm coaching an individual, an executive or a leader who lives in that driving space, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give them a process or get them to a point to focusing to slow down so that they're able to listen. If you have somebody on your team who's a driver, recognize that it's really about results. So you can give them a task and let them go, and you can feel pretty confident that they'll go do it. But you have to be careful that they don't bowl over everybody as they're trying to do it. So that's the driving style, the eagle, if you will, for today's session. Next week, I'm going to take those 4 and I'm going to wrap it up and talk a little bit about why I believe that this model is so important, why it's easy to use. So in the meantime, thank you very much for listening in to me this week. Again, if you've got comments or suggestions or ideas, please feel free to make comments. Or if you've got questions on a subject you'd like me to cover off in one of my future video blog posts, please let me know. My email address will come at the end of this video. So thank you very much and have a great week.